When I first moved into the Avenue D public housing on the Lower East Side, I thought, wow. It was clean. The view from each window was so clear. It was a lot bigger than my old apartment in Chinatown, and that made things easier for my whole family. For my dad, the best part was the elevator.
He is saying that when we lived in our old house, there was 6 flights of stairs. It was a lot of work.
But I began to realize that the elevator always has an unusual smell.
Elevator, a lot of dog pee.
That's right, dog pee, and it is suffocating. Soon after we moved in, I bumped into my cousin Vincent, and he asked me if I lived in this project, and I said yes. That's when I realized that we were living in public housing. At first, knowing where I live is a project building did not really bother me, but that began to change. When I left my house to go to school in the morning, boys on the corner stared me down, and immediately I felt unwelcomed. And I see the same boys when I come back home from school, and every day is the same thing. Guys in American Eagle jeans, polo shirts, Yankee fitteds, and Burberry belts, standing on the corner, doing nothing. And I make assumptions about them. Bad education, they use drugs, have sex.
Older people who live in public housing, they be using all their money to buy expensive clothes even though they live in public housing.
Whoa, not everybody.
That's Timoteo, who never lived in public housing, arguing with Ephraim, who grew up in the projects.
People in school, yo.
Me, look at me. I come from public housing.
I'm saying all those people with the true religion.
I agree with her. If you have enough money to buy True Religion jeans, which are $150 or more, and you live in public housing, I wonder how you have enough money to feed the rest of your family. The way I dress is not as fly or expensive. Old Navy hoodie, Old Navy jeans, and an Aeropostale t-shirt. So when the boys on the corner stare at me, I feel like an outsider, like I do not belong. You see, if you want to be part of the group, you have to do something that catches their attention to get them to have your back. Like my friend Chris, who pays $200 for a belt and still sags his pants.
Do you think that living in a public housing has changed you?
Yeah, I went from good to bad. When I was little, I usually to be a good boy. Now when I grew up, I started doing bad stuff like hanging around with the wrong people.
We're sitting in the kids section of the library under earth-shaped lamps.
Why?
It made me feel like I'm one of them.
What do you mean by that? One of them, in quotes. I'm putting it in quotes.
You see those kids that in the school sagging and stuff. Like, I'm actually like a follower. What they do is what I do. Like, I just want to do it just to look cool.
That is not cool, man. So, like, in your opinion, being able to sag doing drugs and all those kind of things is cool?
Yeah, I think so. Because to me, that's cool. But to you, I don't know.
Chris never spends time talking to me about homework, but he's always talking about ways he can make money, illegally, like shoplifting and dealing drugs. Also, he can show off and fit in. We all want to fit in. Even I, who receive support from my parents and my teachers, have given in to peer pressure once in a while. I've had friends convince me to skip school and cheat on tests.
In order to survive outside of the public housing unit, it's usually essential to be able to survive inside of it.
Michelle Gall grew up in Brooklyn, near the Fort Greene projects.
And to be able to do so, you have to focus on these pretentious goals and materialistic goals where it's like, what are you wearing? Are you going to the in party? Just being cool is like so integral to being able to survive the public housing unit. And so I hope one day we can say to ourselves, what you're wearing is not as important as what you're putting in your mind.
NYU did a study in 2008 that showed students who live in public housing perform worse in school than students who live in other types of housing. And both groups of students had the same income and background. However, they did not get to the bottom of why. Instead, they gave us a few possible reasons. The one that stuck out to me, because the concentration of poverty is so high in the projects, it's harder for students to find role models to stress how important education is. And instead, they give in to peer pressure from those not doing well in school. That definitely applies to my friend Chris. He's even told me he feels like no one believes he can make it through high school.
Do you mind if I ask you some questions about public housing?
Here's Ephraim talking with Antonio, a guy who lives in my neighborhood.
What are the expectations of people that come out of housing?
Oh, of course, they expect me to be ghetto, uneducated, just the whole nine.
I feel the same way. A person coming from housing, like everybody views me as a person sagging their pants, but they don't know that I'm going to school trying to move out of the neighborhood.
No, I agree. I mean, I myself go to school. I'm actually pursuing another degree on top of the pharmacy degree that I already have. And based on the way that I dress, you would never be able to tell that I have a pharmacy background. And again, people would never expect any type of education to come from public housing due to these stereotypes that may carry over year and year and year and year out.
Whoa, did not see that one coming. He's right. I wouldn't have assumed he's getting his second degree, especially if I saw him standing outside my building. I think because of who lives in the projects, it can change the way a kid thinks about education, but it doesn't have to. Some of us are influenced to do the wrong things, and some, like me, are cool with being independent, whether you're wearing Old Navy or True Religion. For WNYC, I'm rookie reporter Winnie Guo.